Today, I have a special guest from Breitbart News. We're going to cover two explosive stories in the news today. The spy or mole who's been planted in Fani Willis's legal camp in order to get Donald Trump direct contact with the White House. We're also going to talk about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's closed door testimony. To help me do that, I have Wendell Husabo from Breitbart. Wendell, thank you so much for joining me.
Stephen, thanks for having me on today.
Okay, so you have some sources. They're not anonymous, but we don't want to give away anyone's identity because we want them to continue to be a source. We also don't want any kind of retribution if their names were leaked. But tell me, what is going on in the Fani Willis situation with the White House, specifically with this mole or this spy, Jeff DeSantis, who's been planted? What's going on with this story?
Well, sources told Breitbart News that the Biden administration has a plant inside Fulton County. And why does this matter? Well, it matters because if it's true, it would be a massive election integrity violation. Okay, that's Biden, potentially having a mole on the inside would not be good. It could potentially be bigger than Watergate, and so who is the mole? The mole, my sources tell me his name is Jeff DeSantis. Now, Jeff DeSantis is a DNC operative, specifically in the state of Georgia. He has a lot of experience. He's very smart, and he's run about 30 congressional campaigns or been involved in 30 congressional campaigns. One of those campaigns was in 2022 for Gabe Gabe Amo. Gabe Amo used to work in the Biden administration as a liaison to local Georgia officials, or not Georgia officials, but to local officials more broadly. Now, maybe he was connected with, Georgia politics. That remains to be seen. I haven't quite uncovered that yet. And so why is this significant? This is significant because Amos paid Jeff DeSantis over $130,000 in 2023, just last year. Now, we don't have the records for 2024 yet. Those haven't been made public. And so this is important because it's a link. Another link that I just discovered a couple of minutes ago is that Jeff DeSantis's partner in his political consulting firm used to, or potentially still does, do media buying for the Biden administration, for the Biden campaign, not for the administration, for the Biden campaign. And so this is just one more link connecting Jeff DeSantis to what the sources say is a plant for the Biden administration.
Okay, interesting. I mean, we now know for certain that Fani Willis's lover, Nate Wade, had two separate secret meetings with White House legal counsel. After that, they have meetings with the J6 committee. Then they decide, we're going after Donald Trump. We have what we need. And then this Jeff DeSantis comes in. They start paying him. And now these communications are going back and forth. Do you think that Judge Scott McAfee, who also donated to Fani Willis and also voted for her to be district attorney, do you think he's going to be able to remain unbiased, number one? And then number two, is he going to remove her or throw out the case? What are your thoughts? What are you hearing?
Well, my understanding is that $150 donation to Willis is not that quite big of a deal. It's worth reporting on. I reported it, but the amount is small, and I'm not an attorney, but lawyers tell me that as long as, happened back then and, for a small amount, kind of can let it slide. I think that the judge has been pretty open to Trump's attorneys during these hearings. He admonished Fani Willis when she was on the stand, when she was throwing a temper tantrum. And so, again, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I can tell in the political world, the judge seems to be doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, as I have been studying it on a daily basis, the question has been, will he be able to remain impartial? The fact that he was like, okay, listen, we gotta go to the side of the main case, and we've got to figure this out. And it, turned into this like salacious gossip session where, people were, testifying against each other. The fact that he allowed that, opened that door, tells me, or at least leads me to believe that he is trying to get to the bottom of what this is, because he doesn't want this to be appealed because of a donation or an affair or something like that. So it does seem that he is trying to remain as impartial as he can. And of course, everybody has political beliefs, right? Like, the fact that he is a Democrat and a judge doesn't mean that he is going to be unbiased or something like that. But just the fact that it comes to light afterwards that he didn't disclose voting for her and donating to her, I think is the thing that has stirred things up a little bit. Do you think that there has been any other communication going on between Fani Willis's camp and the White House legal team, or now that the case has started, that communication's been shut off?
We are looking into it. We're investigating that. I think maybe the White House logs would have something to say about that. What if Jeff DeSantis actually visited the White House? I don't know that yet. That's, the next step in the investigation. But, the way that things are going right now, it looks like Fani Willis is in trouble, and it looks like her whole team is in trouble. And this whole thing could blow up in the face of the Democrats, who are trying to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president once again through, what I believe is election interference.
Yeah, so they're going after him for election interference, but then they're doing election interference in order to get him. It's like, well, oh, let's set our morals to the side to go after somebody. But then again, I had Dennis Prager on my show, and he said, if you genuinely believed that Donald Trump was as bad as Adolf Hitler, then you have a moral duty to break the law in order to get him out, or at least you would have that conviction that we've got to do everything, including break the law, to keep this guy. Do you think that that's the way that they see him, that he's so evil, he's so bad, he has to be kept out, that they're willing to break the law in order to get him?
I think that Donald Trump represents a threat to the administrative state. Donald Trump says the administrative state is, the so-called deep state, but the administrative state's actually made up of a lot of agencies, all the agencies in Washington, D.C. It's made up of, all the large apparatus in Washington, D.C. that writes the regulatory rules that Congress essentially says, we don't want to write, we're going to defer to you, the administrative state, and you write the rules. And so therefore, a lot of our laws and the American people are governed by not our lawmakers, but by these bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. So I think that Trump represents a grave threat to these people, and so they will stop at nothing to prevent him from getting back in office.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of lawmakers, they had Hunter Biden and his team of lawyers in to testify. A couple of takeaways that I had was he did say, listen, I was a drug addict. I was making things up, but my dad was not involved in my businesses, even though I said many times when making threats to get paid that he was sitting right next to me. He was not involved. On the other side, he refused to say whether Joe Biden was the big guy getting 10% of all of the profits using Joe Biden's name in order to get these big contracts. What takeaways did you have as you've been watching that today?
It was very interesting because Hunter Biden's opening statement said, quote, I did not involve my father in my business. That is entirely different than saying Joe Biden was not involved in my business. I think that was a very lawyerly way to phrase that, and we'll see what happens in the public hearing if he's questioned about that. I was speaking to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene last night, and she told me that Hunter Biden would not confirm nor deny that Joe Biden was in fact the big guy. And so she also said that Hunter Biden denied that, Joe Biden was going to receive the 10% cut that he was, may have been given in that text message. But even so, the fact that 6 people have said that Joe Biden is the big guy, according to my count, and the fact that Hunter Biden would not deny that Joe Biden, in fact, is the big guy, just lends credence to all of these allegations and all of the evidence that the impeachment inquiry has uncovered.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Devin Archer, one of the business partners, he is adamant that Joe Biden was not involved. He's actually gone to jail because of his involvement with Hunter Biden, and yet he stands by his testimony. On the other side, you have Tony Bobulinski, the greatest last name ever created, saying, of course, Joe Biden was there. He was using his influence. He was using his intimidation. We were milking his name and his position as vice president and congressman in order to get these contracts. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out. Final question in the last few minutes I have. Hunter Biden also said that he was given a position at Burisma Energy, even though he had no experience, and was paid $80,000 a month so that they could avoid Russian aggression. Any idea what he's talking about?
No idea what he's talking about. It's just like he pulled another thing out of his hat, that he dreamt up, someday. But again, Marjorie Taylor Greene told me yesterday that conservatives should be worried about the Democrats cooking up another Russia hoax. Because if you notice, the Democrats are saying, oh, we're going to investigate the Republicans who, cited the credible FBI whistleblower about the bribe, which, special counsel arrested that whistleblower saying that he lied about the bribe. But nevertheless, it's the FBI's confidential human source. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene warned us that, hey, we got to be on the lookout for another hoax.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the thing that I'm struggling with is, how does giving Hunter Biden $1 million or $80,000 a month make Putin not want to come after Burisma Energy? It, like you say, there's something weird. The dots are nowhere near each other, and they're definitely not connected. But we'll continue to watch this story. Wendell, thank you so much for reporting on this mole and spy with the Biden administration within the Fani Willis camp. We'll continue to watch that, and I'll report here. Same thing with the Hunter Biden story. I'm going to make sure to leave a link down below so people can go follow you on Breitbart. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.